Are you prepared to transform your well-being? I'm Sanjay Raja. My mission is to challenge our perspectives on food, fitness, and overall health. I own a successful nutrition and fitness business based in Orlando, Florida. And through this experience, I've learned that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. From creating delicious and healthy recipes, to training elite athletes, and even writing the book, The Food Talk. I've accumulated a wealth of knowledge, but here's the exciting part. There's always more to discover. That's why I'm embarking on a journey to connect with leading experts, unveiling the secrets to a happier, healthier life. Together, let's explore innovative ways to enhance our well-being. This is Recipe for Wellness. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our podcast, Recipe for Wellness, based on our TV show. We're in season 3. It kind of blows me away every time I say it. And podcast is going strong. We're in pre-production for season 2, or post-production for season 2 of the show, pre-production for season 3. So one of the benefits of doing this show is you get to meet a lot of interesting people. And I'll give you a little backstory on this one. So my guest I met at a Comic-Con convention in Tampa Bay, and sitting back in the green room, and we talked and just got to know who this individual is, and really interesting story. So I shared one of my stories, and so here's the backstory, and that is, I did a movie a long time ago. My God, almost been like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, where I played a transsexual female. I was supposed to play a doctor, which I get that role all the time, shockingly enough. And I got to play the role of a transsexual female. The director asked me, and she said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I said, "Yes, please, let's go." And I just wanted to do something different. Long story short, I don't want to get too far in the weeds with this one. We shot it guerrilla style, where everyday people didn't know we were filming it. And let me put it this way. I lived in that life for about 7 hours. The amount of dirty looks, the amount of hostilities thrown at me, the amount of just nonsense and people losing their minds over a lifestyle choice in this movie that I got intrigued me. I could never understand it. So that's the backstory. That being said, I am so honored to bring our guest Moon onto the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm very excited to be here.
No, we met at the Comic-Con in Tampa Bay last year. Is my first one. You've been to many of these things, and didn't know what to expect, but sat in on a few sessions, did a couple of my own. And your session I sat in on was really entertaining. People really gravitate towards the cosplay that you do, which was fascinating, by the way. You had these amazing like red eyes. I was like, that's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were bothering me by the end of the day. I was so happy to take them out.
So the contacts, right? There were contacts you put
Yes.
in your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you dressed up as for that Comic Con?
Funny enough, I was dressed up as Astarion from Baldur's Gate, which I
Okay.
feel that a lot of LGBTQIA people gravitate to him.
Yes.
So it's interesting that we're like talking about that now, considering what I was dressed as.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Level of detail, and then you led a session in the conference, and remind me what your session was about, because it was really interesting. I did remember key bits of it, but you would explain it a lot better than me.
So the panel, if I'm remembering correctly, was called cosplay and inclusivity using cosplay as a
Hmm.
form of gender expression.
Right.
And it was about feeling comfortable in your cosplays and really being able to express yourself in a way that you don't really get to in an everyday life, and feeling seen and feeling one with like who you are as a person in your cosplay. Because for me, cosplay has always been a form of like expressing myself.
Hmm.
And I've always enjoyed cosplaying as men because of that, because it really kind of like pushes the boundaries for people where they really don't know if I'm a man or a woman, and I love that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I really enjoyed hearing everyone's questions and answering them and hearing other people's stories with it. And I actually had a few people come up to me after the panel and confide in me about their own like gender journeys and
Hmm.
how they were wanting to experiment and they weren't sure like where they fell on gender as a whole. So we were able to talk about that quite a bit, and that was really amazing. I loved that. That's exactly what I wanted at my panel is for people to feel comfortable and come to me and talk about that.
Well, you accomplished that because I was sitting in there in the panel and I saw a couple of people really tear up when you started talking
Oh,
because they
really?
were,
Aw.
yeah, I did. I saw that. And they were just feeling like there's somebody there that represents who they've become, right? And that being said, it was a really cool moment, to see that. I have faced when I grew up in Kansas City. I moved from
Mhm.
India to the States, and I experienced a good amount of racism when I was growing up in Kansas.
Oh
That's
yeah.
okay. It happened. It is what it is. And then, over time it got better and better as society hopefully progresses. That being said, your story is very unique. And the way you handle yourself and the way you're able to keep open mind and just to laugh things off, I found to
Mhm.
be really fascinating. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for our audience, give us your backstory and I want to be respectful with my words. So
Of
give us your
course, yeah.
backstory in the sense of where you were as a child. What was the moment you said, "This is not who I am"?
Hmm.
The transition and how your family reacted to all that.
Yeah, of course. So, I was born on a Tuesday. No, I'm teasing. I so I experienced a lot of really severe bullying as a child. I had a very lonely childhood
Mhm.
because of it. And I was also like late diagnosed autistic, which was like way, way, way into adulthood. Like I didn't really get diagnosed until I was like I think 24 or 25. And that's pretty
Yeah.
typical with female presenting people. And I say female presenting people because it's a more like inclusive language. Um, and because like it kind of manifests differently in female presenting people or like people that were born women. Uh, so because of that, I had a really lonely childhood, and I never really felt like I fit in with like the boys or the girls,
Mhm.
and the girls didn't want to hang out with me because I was weird, and the boys didn't want to hang out with me because they they were just can I swear?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure they were assholes. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
and they would constantly bully me and call me like boy girl or say that I looked like a boy, and the girls did that too. And from an early age, I really just didn't understand like why all that mattered and why I was only allowed to wear certain clothes or act a certain way or like certain things based on my gender. And I remember very vividly at like 6 or 7 years old telling my mom that when I became an adult that I was going to be a boy. Like I didn't want to be a
Mm.
girl, I wanted to be a boy.
Mm.
And so it was there were signs. But I didn't really come out and really accept like who I was until I was about like 24. And I was in an abusive relationship at the time, which obviously like I didn't recognize as abusive, but the guy that I was with was
Mm.
incredibly controlling. And when I came out to him and said, "Hey, I think this is me. I want to go through and maybe experiment with this a little bit because it's healthy and important to experiment with your gender." He was vehemently against it. Uh,
Mm.
I the last straw for me in that relationship was when I tried to talk to him about it again, just trying to get him to understand. I was very calm about the conversation, but he took it as incredibly aggressive, like I was being aggressive. And so he got aggressive with me, and I said, "Never mind, you don't have to understand it. I don't want to talk about it anymore."
Mm.
And that's exactly how I said it. And I go inside the house, and he got physical with me, And so
No.
at that time, I was like, no, I'm done. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that was like relatively fresh af of coming out. So I think that was like a month or so after, maybe. And so I ended up moving
Hmm.
back in with my parents, and my parents were not okay with me leaving him because they were kind of like falling for his own like manipulation kind of stuff. It was a messy situation. And so I really didn't have anybody to fall back on or talk to about how I was feeling. And so my gender identity and all of that kind of got pushed to the wayside because there was just so much going on that I really just didn't have the
Yeah.
mental capacity for it. And then as that time passed and I was able to kind of like heal a little bit more from that trauma, I was able to embrace myself as a person a little bit better. And I came out to my parents. They were a little confused, but they weren't not accepting of it. Uh, my mom initially was kind of like on the fence about it. She had said that oh, like you'll always be my daughter or whatever, which isn't like I don't think she meant it in the way that it sounded. Uh
Yeah.
I think she meant it as like, oh, like you'll always be like who you are to me, like you're my child, you know? But it sounded very kind of like not accepting and kind of like holding on to someone I no longer am.
Mm.
And we actually got into a pretty big fight about me getting gender affirming surgery, uh,
Mm.
which she was not about at all. But she came around and actually helped me get the surgery, which was really cool of her. She
Yeah.
helped me put out a line of credit so I could pay for the surgery out of pocket because, you know, the South isn't going to pay for that. So
So do you mind me asking how much was that? How much was that surgery?
it was a little over $10,500.
Wow. Okay.
And mine was on the pricier end. Normally for the surgery that I got, it's in between like 8 and 10. So mine was definitely like on the pricier side, but I picked this doctor
Yeah.
specifically, and I am so glad I did because funny enough, I met my now husband while I was recovering from top surgery in Charlotte because that's where he
Oh, wow.
lived. And
Okay.
I was just on funny enough, Tinder because I was bored.
Hmm.
And I saw that he had liked me and I was like, you know, he's kind of cute. And he actually like read my profile and saw that I
So
was
Tinder actually
non-binary.
has a success story. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Tinder
Yeah,
actually.
it's crazy. Oh my God, don't plug no advertising though, Tinder. No free
No, no, I'm not.
advertising.
I just keep hearing the worst of the worst on Tinder from,
I got lucky.
friends and acquaintances. So,
Yes, I got lucky. It was honestly mostly a cesspool. But
yeah, yeah.
he actually read my profile and was like totally fine with me being like who I am as a person, and he was always really accepting of it. And he
Hmm.
saw me through the initial healing stages. Like he saw the for we met, I think, a week and a half after my surgery. So he
Okay.
saw like my chest like the way it was healing, and he actually helped me take care of it too. And this was all just like
Wow.
us hanging out casually. And I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like he was incredible from the beginning and going through like so many men that were just either they didn't really understand it and weren't really willing to hear about it, uh or they would just straight up ask me like really inappropriate questions like before I've even met them, and I'm like, "Hey dog, how about a hello?"
So that was, yeah. So this puts us down the rabbit hole here, by the way.
Yeah,
So we're gonna crawl down this rabbit hole for a little bit.
that's fine. Yeah.
Which is, we did an episode of our TV show last year in Costa Rica,
Mhm.
and we talked about the epidemic of loneliness in this country.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's this huge one. And one of our guests wrote a book about being divorced after 50. Because what we're
Mhm.
seeing right now is that more people are getting divorced later in life after 40, 30 years of marriage, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so she talked about navigating divorce and dating in 50s and 60s, which is crazy, right?
Yes.
And that being said, like, what has your overall experience been on the dating sites. Now you got lucky with,
Yes.
with your experience, which is great. What was the experience like before you met your husband?
Horrible. Like, guys, well, women would ignore me, which I was kind of like, okay, like, I see you. Thank you for affirming me, I guess.
Right,
Because they were
right.
ignoring me as much as they were ignoring the men, and I was like, ally. Anyway,
Okay,
um,
okay.
but the men were just very two-faced, very much like I think desperate in a way. I even spoke to like some poly couples as well because I really wasn't like when I was on the dating sites, I just gotten out of another like really turbulent relationship. And at that point, I was like, I'm not emotionally available for a relationship. I just want someone I can like hang out with, have sex, and be fine, right? And I was
Hmm.
very clear with that in my profile, and that was something I said like up front too. Like I was very much like, hey, this is my boundary. This is what I expect. And men would either be freaked out by that and be like, whoa, like calm down. It's like, dog, you asked what I wanted. Like, what do you mean? Or they would try to like push me into a committed relationship before we even met
Mm,
because it was
yeah.
kind of like, oh, you have this boundary. I want to challenge that. And that's not cute. Like,
So did you mark on your profile that you were transitioning over or you were transitioned
yes,
over? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and in one ear out the other. Like literally I could
Mm,
tell when people would not read my profile and I'm like,
got it. Got it.
cool beans, cool beans. 'Cause then I would have to be like, "Hey, like I need you to be aware of this because 'cause if it's a really like touchy subject too
Oh
because
yeah.
for me, I have the safety of still passing as a woman.
Hmm.
And a lot of trans people don't have that safety.
Okay.
So I'm privileged in that aspect, and I also like and even like trans women that do pass as women, they still have to deal with the hurdle of, hey,
Hmm.
do I tell them now or do I tell them later and risk getting assaulted?
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's kind of like it's really dangerous. It can be like a really turbulent conversation. I personally am of the mindset where I tell them immediately because I would rather tell them online where they don't know my address, they don't have my cell phone number, they don't know where I
Right.
live.
Right.
So I can have that safety. So if they like freak out online, I'm perfectly safe and fine. But not everyone feels that way. And I don't think there is anything wrong with waiting either because I think like what the people that do wait, both trans women and trans men, are very clearly like wanting to give these people an opportunity and a chance and kind of like feel them out and see who they are as people. But some people see that as like lying or like restricting information, and I'm like, that it's not that deep.
Well, there's some interesting stats out there, honestly.
Mm,
So before I get to that, so I grew up in India and I traveled the
mm.
world, and it just makes you a citizen of the world, and you're inclusive of everybody. And then I
Yeah.
got into acting in 2014, and I was exposed to a whole new group of people.
Yes.
And I always talk about this, and that is I was in the medical field, I was in the IT field, I've lived so many different careers. And doing acting, it's probably the most accepting group of people I've ever been around,
Oh yeah.
right? Because our job is not to judge, we just tell the story. That's just what we do. And so we live in
Yes.
the shoes of this character. So I just finished a movie where I played a kind of a drunk Indian surgeon. I'm like, here we go again with the doctor roles, but hey, whatever.
They really are
Whatever.
typecasting you. They said, doctor.
But the drunk part is very off color for me. So, I played a strip club owner. I played a drunk doctor. I played, so many different roles that people would never see me as. And then
Yeah.
when I got the opportunity to do that short film where I played this transsexual female, I jumped at the chance. The reason why is that it's so out of the ordinary, number one. Number two, I wanted to break cultural stereotypes.
Yeah.
We can stretch ourselves as an actor. But the experience I got within those 3 days I did it, I
Mhm.
think changed my perspective a lot in so many different ways. It
Yeah.
was everybody is living their own personal story, fighting these battles on a daily basis that we don't know about. right?
Yeah.
And so a little bit of kindness goes a long way, right? So I'll tell you a unique story that came out of this. So we were filming the scene on a beach with my co-star at the time. And I had to wear a sarong, I had to wear the top, I had to wear like beach outfit, right? Like a woman would. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the film crew was filming, guerrilla style so nobody could see them. And we were walking, and I saw this father and his son coming at us. They didn't know we were filming this movie, right? And so the son comes up to me and just says hi. Like little kids are very open, expressive, and I had to do a higher pitched voice at the time, and I said hello. The dad got super pissed, like angry, like wanted to fight, kind of pissed because he's like, "Don't
Jesus.
talk to him, don't talk to this person," and he's just losing his mind, right? And the good news is I know how to defend myself. I've been in martial arts
Yeah.
forever, so I could handle
Yeah.
myself if I had to. I was just hoping it was not going to go to that.
Yeah.
And then the camera crew comes out and says, "Sir, we're filming a movie. This is just part of a scene." And then his whole perspective changed. He became super nice and was just like, "Hey, oh, this is great. What kind of movie? All this stuff." But it just told you what was deep inside of him,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the reason why I love the actors community because everybody's open, expressive, inclusive, and it's just a friendly environment so people can be themselves and express themselves in the truest manner.
Yes.
You are in the entertainment industry, correct?
Yeah.
Right? So what would you
Yes. Yeah.
classify your job as right now? Like what do you do right now?
So I right now I'm like obviously attempting to audition for things, but we'll see if anything happens.
Sure.
Um, but I also do children's parties and children's charities as a
Hmm.
character performer. Uh, and I do a lot of community theater, um, which I absolutely love. The children's parties and children's charities are very near and dear to my heart too.
Yeah.
And I do parties for families like that man. And
Mm.
there's a level of fear that kind of sets in,
Yeah.
because at the height of COVID, I was doing online kids story times. And I was pulling about 2.5 million reach for my online story times through Facebook. And
Wow.
I
Yeah.
had made a post that everyone can love princesses. And it was a post of little boys in princess dresses with their favorite princess, enjoying just loving princesses because there's nothing wrong with that. Like having a positive female role model is important for everyone, both little
Hmm.
boys and little girls. And it got onto the wrong side of the internet and people started swarming my Facebook page with like transphobia, sending me death threats, saying that I was a pedophile is another one because
Wow.
that's a thing going on right now, which is great. Sarcastic. And I got like negative reviews saying goes against God and that's so sad. And I was like,
Right.
I'm doing kid stories, like calm down.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but on the flip side of that, my friends who are also in the children's entertainment business were coming in droves to leave positive reviews and positive comments and really like drowning everybody out. And what I would do is I would just like block these people because I'm like, I'm not gonna, you just want a response and I'm not gonna give you that. Like
Exactly.
that's,
Yeah.
and so I would just block them. And it ended pretty quickly. I would say probably after about a month or two, it kind of fizzled out
Mm.
because I blocked everybody. But there were a couple people that made like other accounts to try and like attack my page. And I was like, this is really weird energy
Hmm.
to attack a
Yeah.
page that is promoting children's story time.
You
And
know,
it's
there's
kind
a lot
of,
of internet trolls. There's a lot of that out
yeah,
there. It's
yeah,
easy to get behind a keyboard and say whatever you
yes,
want to say. Very easy to do
yes.
it,
And I have
unfortunately.
a magic
And
spell called block.
that's true. And I always try to teach my kids, I said, like, my daughter is very sensitive to, like, she's very strong. She's a very strong
Mm,
female, has my personality type. But things, people say things to her and she feels the need to react. I said, your greatest superpower is not giving that energy away.
Yeah.
You don't have to react to everything,
Yes.
right? And so she's trying to learn that. I'm trying to impart that skill. I've learned that skill over time, which is nobody's going to live rent free in my head. Nobody's going to.
Nope.
It's an expensive place up here. You can't afford it. Sorry, so
Yep.
so yeah, and so for you on this journey, I'm sure you've seen a lot of positivity, a lot of
Yes.
support, a lot of negativity, a lot of fear mongering. I'm sure you've seen
Yes.
both.
Yes.
What is, now that you've been seeing both sides of the coin, what are you trying to convey to the public about your journey?
It's not something to be afraid of. I think it's very healthy to explore your gender identity. I think
Okay.
everyone should, because I personally think gender norms are stupid, because people should be able to want to like what they like, want to do what they do.
Okay.
Um, and it's like you're seeing like a lot of women are now entering like male dominated fields, but
Hmm.
when on the flip side, and they're being supported for that. They're being like, "Oh, like this is incredible, like haha, women power, feminism." And it's very kind of like performative in my opinion. Not the women entering the fields, but the people saying those things. Because
Hmm.
on the flip side, if a man wants to become like a seamstress or something that's more seen as a feminine job, like a secretary or something like that, they're immediately called gay or something else. And it's like you can't support one side and then not the other.
Right, right. Yeah.
And like, why does it matter is another thing. I think people have this fear of homosexuality and I guess transgenderism. I don't know. I don't think that's correct. I think that's not transgender people is a better one.
Right.
Uh and there's nothing to fear. Like we're literally just people. We're not coming
Yeah.
into your homes and like
Yeah.
trying to
I
quote
never
unquote
understood that.
convert you.
Yeah, I never understood that. You
Yeah.
you see a lot of fear mongering out there.
Yeah.
So it was funny because so when I first started getting on podcasts and stuff, I wrote my book on health and wellness in 2018, and then I had a publicist at the time,
Mm.
and she said, "Hey, I'm going to start getting you on podcasts when it started being a thing." And I
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, sure." So one of the first podcasts she got me on was the all gay podcast. She got me
Hmm.
on, and she goes, and so she goes, "Hey, we booked you there, but I wasn't sure if you're okay." I'm like, "It's a podcast."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what's the problem here,
Should I be
right?
afraid? Like what's going on?
So and it's my experiences around the world has been as such, and that is like what people don't realize is there, especially in India, there's a
Mhm.
lot of closet homosexuality in India.
Yeah.
It's, I wasn't knowledgeable in that, but as I've been doing the show and we do our research and just finding cool stories, there is a lot of that there, and it's in the closet
Mm.
because it's still not accepted, you know, in other parts of the world. So how do you think we're doing? I mean, like I've been around, so other parts of the world like Europe and Australia, India, I would say Europe is fairly open to it. Australia, South Pacific are pretty open to it. India, not so much right now.
Yeah.
But in the States, what I've seen from my experiences is that I think it's hopefully getting better as far as, being inclusive.
Yes.
Um, what has your experience been now since you've been on this journey? And what have people come to you and said that they've heard your journey and say, hey, this has helped me and such? How have you been inspiring people?
I think it was getting better and then we kind of took like a huge slide backwards and
Hmm.
it's kind of slowly getting better again. Because I feel like one thing I really want people to understand is the people that are being loud and evil and aggressive are it's a small amount of people, like it's a handful of people, and a majority of people that are in the States do support you. And
Right.
even even if they may not like understand it or be like, oh, that's not for me or whatever, they're not going to go and be like, you need to die, you shouldn't have rights. Like it's such a small amount of people, but it sadly right now is the loudest amount of people. And we've seen like a really huge uptick in suicide recently because of it. Which is really sad. As someone who struggled with that as well when I was a child, uh,
Hmm.
it's nobody really kind of understands the mindset that you're in when you're in that state of mind because some people
Right.
like to say that suicide is selfish when it quite
Mm.
literally is the exact opposite. Um, and people will never really truly understand what it's like unless they're in that position.
Right.
Um, and I don't want anyone to ever be in that position because it's one of the worst positions to be in.
Yeah.
So one thing I always try to do is to make sure that my friends know that like I'm always there for them. Like we could literally talk for like recently, one of my friends had a cardiac episode and had to go to the hospital because she's disabled.
Hmm.
And she posted on Facebook asking for help because she asked if someone could go to her apartment, feed her cat, and bring her her keys, and that's it. Nobody responded to her. And I
Mm.
know she had friends that were nearby that could have
Yeah.
helped. So I drove 45 minutes. I responded to her. I drove 45 minutes and said, I will do it. I'll get your cat fed and we'll bring in your keys. And I also brought her a blanket that I found on the couch, which I kind of like deduced is probably her favorite blanket, and I was correct.
Yeah.
And a stuffed animal from her room to make her feel like more at home. Because hospitals are scary. I don't like hospitals. I don't think anybody likes hospitals. Uh,
Yeah.
and I hung out with her
Yeah.
in the hospital for a little while. And it kind of really upset me that nobody else even like responded to check on her.
Mm. Yeah.
'Cause like you can't, to me, like if you're my friend, I expect you to be there for me when I'm going through shit.
Yeah.
And if you can't, at least like message and be like, "Hey, like are you okay?" Uh and like after the fact apparently like people messaged her, but like I feel like it's kind of asinine at that point.
Mm.
Uh but I'm glad that I was able to be there for her. And I've had a couple of friends tell me, like this was like a few years ago, but I had a couple of friends tell me that like while we were in high school together, I helped them feel more comfortable with their gender expression and who they are. And it's interesting because I do not remember what I said to them. So I think that really goes to show that your words carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Whether or not you remember it or not, someone else will.
Yes.
So choose your words with love and kindness. And
Yeah.
I think that's better than saying choose your words wisely too. Because I think
Hmm.
if you choose your words with love and kindness, that's you exude those feelings. And sometimes all people really need is a little bit of love and kindness and understanding. Because growing up in a turbulent life like my mom and I did for a while.
Hmm.
Like it was me and my mom for most of my life up until I was about like 8 years old. Even like when my mom was married to my birth father, he was a violent alcoholic. Not like
Mm.
violent punchy, but just like constantly drunk.
Sure.
And he wasn't there. That's not a spouse, that's not a father. No.
Yeah.
And so she divorced him, which like props to you, girl. That's good. And we moved back to where my mom was born, and
Yeah.
nobody there. We had family there, and nobody wanted to help us. My mom would
Oh,
tell me
wow.
that we were living in a car for a while when I was an infant.
Mm.
Obviously, I don't remember that because I was a baby, but
Yeah.
she does, and
Yeah.
she remembers that like really scary and turbulent time. And a lot of my positive childhood memories are thanks to my mom. Like she took me to Disney when I was 5, which I have no idea how she managed to do. Like props to you. And she still managed to save for my college, which was really cool. Um I have a very vivid memory of her getting me a Lego Harry Potter castle for Christmas. And it's really funny
Nice.
that we did Christmas because we're Jewish, but my mom didn't want me to miss out on anything. Uh, and I think that that's like really incredible that she was able to do all of that. And then my stepdad came into my life, who I call my real dad. I just refer to him as my dad. Uh,
Mm.
and he was always like really nice and fun. He was very much like a big brother, I would say. Like he would tease me all the time. It was really fun. I have a really good memory of us when we were in Cancun, which was really cool. When I was like in sixth grade. My dad and I had a sand fight on the beach, and my mom was in our hotel room with a migraine, and we came in covered in sand, and she was like, "Get out," actually. And we had sand bathing suits underneath our bathing suits.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I remember that so vividly. Um, it was
So let
incredible.
me
Like I,
so let me ask you this then, real
yeah,
quick. So you are married, is that correct?
yes,
Okay. So that's a unique topic in and of itself
yes.
because I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and there's this famous lawyer named James Sexton. I don't
Mm,
know if you've ever heard his stuff, but he's like a divorce attorney to the stars and really high, powerful people. And he
mm,
talks about how marriage, and he's talking about heterosexual couples, ends one out of two marriages ends in divorce, 50% divorce rate, which is insane.
yeah,
Okay. And he's like, why do we enter into a contract where we know half of the time it's going to end badly? Like, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's got that perspective. And then before I did this podcast with you, I did a little bit of research and found that the highest level, okay, so marriage rates among gay men is one of the most successful marriage rates in the country,
Yes.
right? Their divorce
Mm,
rates are extremely low, right? And
yes.
so, you know, that is a fascinating little stat, how that operates. So that being said, where did you find, like, where did you go to get married? Was it accepted? Was it a hard task to find a venue that would take you guys to get married? Like, what was that journey like?
So it was interesting. So we actually got married a little sooner than we had initially wanted because I had gotten a job up in Canada and I wanted to take him with me. And I
Hmm.
had proposed to him and we were planning on getting married the following year. But because of the job, I didn't want to leave him behind. So we went to a courthouse and got a courthouse wedding.
Okay,
Which he was super great. We took a picture with him and the judge and everything. That was so
that's
fun.
great. Great.
We are planning our like wedding, I will say, because we already are married, for 2027. And
Nice.
we
Nice.
actually found this really cute venue, and the couple that owns it is so sweet. We've only really talked to the guy, and my best friend has been fantastic at helping me find stuff. And Michael has been such an wanting to like be included in everything, which is really amazing. I think here's my brainworm about the divorce rate thing. Uh, I think a lot of heterosexual couples get married because they think they sh need to get married rather than because they want to get married. Like
Mm,
there is a pressure to get married by a certain age, to have kids, to own a house, to do this, to do that, and follow this binary.
hmm.
Whereas homosexual couples and just any LGBTQIA couple, we don't follow binary at all. Like it's very much like a want. I want to do this with you. I want to spend my life with you. You are my best friend, right?
Yeah.
And also, for many, 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 many years, gay marriage was not legal. Like we see now couples that have been together for like 70 years just now getting married.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is such a beautiful and incredible thing. And I think also uh turbulence causes people to grow closer together.
Hmm.
And going through those events together just like really just affirms that you two are going to survive, and surviving those events together, you're going to continue to grow and change and love one another as that happens. And one thing that I really love about my husband is that he's always accepted me for me.
Hmm.
And I've always just seen him as who he is. He's seen me as who I am. And I remember we were laying in bed one day and I asked him if he saw me as a man or a woman.
Hmm.
And he kind of was like, I don't see you as either. I just see you as a being. And I was like, incredible. Love that. I love that. Because that's
Perfect.
exactly what I want. And
Yeah, yeah,
he's perfectly comfortable in his sexuality. Um he quite literally like because people like have like asked him and made comments about it and he's literally like, okay.
yeah.
Uh and he loves me for me and it's incredible.
Hmm.
And also like I also feel like divorces happen because there's a lot of pressure on women in marriages as well. Like
Hmm.
they have to be the spouse, they have to be the mother, they have to be the housekeeper, they have to be the worker. Like
Hmm.
and whereas men only have like, oh, you just have to work. Oh, you just do this, just provide. Whereas like there's so much pressure on women now and women are finding that they can just do all this by themselves. Like why do they need a man?
So yeah, I mean that's such an interesting topic right there
Hmm.
to go down. Like getting back to our original conversation about online dating and stuff like that. So there's
Yeah.
so much research being done. So there's an interesting thing I saw, and it's just a blip on the radar, obviously, but it was an interesting study they found, which is they had this guy basically did this social experiment where he went on, he is a good-looking guy, but then he put on there a fake criminal record about how he
Oh.
beat women. He got more likes than the average guy.
Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. He said in a day he got 800 likes,
Yeah.
right? And then the messages he got were, you seem like you've changed. We can work this out. And he was blown away by the reaction he got. And so that led to a larger discussion about what is it that we are looking for in society, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm a child of the 80s and I've been on my fair share of dates. And what we do is we meet in person, we talk, great. We want to go on another date? Awesome, let's go, let's do that. But now there's so much technology between us, and you have so many choices where you can go, nope, 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 yes, 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 right?
Yes.
And so many people are concerned with having a roster of going, well, this person's good for today, but then down the road, I want to be going on this date here, right? It's crazy to me. It's just a
Yes.
lot of work that I don't want to do. Right? So it seems like a full-time job. And the number one thing I've heard from people saying is online dating is a full-time job, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just changing how we look at relationships and communication, all that stuff. You are the 1% that found success there. I
Yeah.
know some good friends of mine who, they found each other online date, they've been married, a lot of kids, they're doing well as well, you know. So that being said, it's just I don't know how people navigate this world now where we have so many choices, but with technology, we're not communicating effectively at all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I want to actually comment about the online dating thing and like the profiles. So I was always somebody that read profiles fully because
Hmm.
I'm somebody that cares more about like who you are as a person rather than like what you look like. Like if we vibe and I really like your personality and I like who you are. Like I do have a type. I wouldn't say that like I don't because I definitely do have a type. Um but it's not necessarily like you have to be that for me to be interested in you. Like if you're smart, if you
Mm.
make me laugh, if you're kind, then normally like we're pretty good. And I value those things. And I feel like online presences have made people value that less. Like you had said, like the very attractive man saying, "Oh, I beat women." That would have been an immediate no for me. I would be like, "Ugh." Like, ugh, yuck. Like I don't care. Like he could have
Yeah.
literally looked like Brendan Fraser from Tarzan, and I would be like, "Nope." Nope. Yuck.
Yeah.
And my husband looks like Brendan Fraser from Tarzan. I'm so
Oh, there you
lucky.
go.
Anyway,
There you go.
um, I there was a great example. There was this guy that I was talking to. He was very attractive. He was a dancer, like a
Mm,
women's dancer, and he had
right.
said that on his profile, and he was like, "Hey, like I do this, like please don't have issues with this." And I didn't care. I was like, okay, that's fine. Who cares? And we're talking. And I give him my number. We start chatting on the phone. And he admitted to me that he was, and he's going to remain nameless, obviously, because I don't want to be rude. But
Yeah.
he admitted to me that he was in an addiction recovery home and that he
Mm,
wasn't really allowed to have guests on certain days and he had to be home at a certain time.
right.
And he was like, I hope this isn't like something that turns you off or anything. And I was like, no, like never. Like I don't find like you're actively getting help. I don't judge
Yeah.
that at all. Like, and I
Yeah.
remember there was a conversation that we had in a high school class. I think it was a psychology class or something. I can't remember. But it was in a class in high school and the topic of AIDS and HIV came up. And the question was, would you date somebody with AIDS or HIV? And I said yes. And everybody
Mm,
in the class was like, "Oh, like that's crazy. Like you could catch it." And I was like, two things. One, medications nowadays, no, you can't. Second,
right.
uh as long as someone is honest and upfront with me, I will value that way more. And
Yeah.
I don't think people's because that probably wasn't even their fault. First off, they could have been born with it due to the mother having HIV or AIDS or whatever. It could have been a bad decision on their part. Maybe like they had like an addiction issue and they got it sharing needles, or it was just unprotected sex and someone lied to them. It could have been
Yeah.
anything. It could have been a blood exposure, like anything. And I don't think that it's right to judge those people uh for that or like kind of like deem them as other
Hmm.
because it's already like turbulent enough to have something like that. Like why would I add to that? And
Yeah.
what turned me off, funny enough, what turned me off of the guy that told me that he was in addiction recovery is he had asked me what my perfect date was. And I had mentioned I would love if someone brought me flowers. And you can literally buy a singular flower from the grocery store for like $6. It's not a big
Right.
deal. I wasn't
Yeah.
asking for you to bring me $1,000 bouquet with freaking diamonds and shit on it. And
Right.
he laughed at me. He laughed at me and he said, I barely know you. You think I'm gonna spend money on you? And I was like, wow, you're an
Okay.
asshole. I don't want to talk
Uh,
to you anymore. And
okay.
I was talking to Michael at the time too because and we were both very upfront that we were seeing other people as well. And
Right.
I told him about it and he was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Right?" And then the
Yeah.
guy had the audacity to message me down the road. I didn't save his number, but the only reason I knew it was him was because he said he called me Killa. And that's what he did before. And I was like, ew, it's
Hmm.
that guy. And Michael was like, give me the phone. And he took a picture and went like this and sent it to him. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
really funny. Um, but I think actually funny enough, the reason mine and Michael's relationship has been so successful is that we were always like unapologetically ourselves with each other because of us being like, hey, like yeah, we're just friends with benefits, whatever. Which his family was like, no, you're not, you're dating. But we were like, no. And because we were unapologetically ourselves, we fell in love with who that person really is. And I think a lot with dating, it's kind of acting in a show and it's in and of itself because you're showing like your best self. And I actually had a conversation about this weekend actually because a lot of people, do you know what like your id, your ego, and your super ego is?
Right.
A
Yes.
lot of people show their super ego while dating rather than their actual self, like the best version of
Well,
who you are.
well, that's true. I mean, in
Yeah.
any, I mean, it's hard. if near impossible, you meet somebody for the first time and you show them all your flaws. No, nobody wants to see that,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's not what I mean though. Yeah, I mean
Yeah, I
more
mean,
so like they
so
put on this show, you know, and
yeah.
they and I'm not saying like flaws or anything, 'cause those like get uncovered like as you date, but I also
Well,
feel like
I've got a great friend of mine who's a marriage counselor to
mhm,
veterans,
mhm,
and because veterans have the highest rate of divorce, they just do.
yeah.
And he asked this one question, which I loved, and he said he goes, in any relationship, I always ask them, and when he was dating at the time, I asked his prospective date a question. He said, "Here are 5 reasons why you should stay with me. Here are 5 reasons why you should run away." Just being 100% open and honest. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like Michael and I actually did kind of something like that, but
Yeah.
not in those words.
Yeah.
Uh we he was like, "Oh, like what do you want out of this?" I was like, "Oh, like this is what I want." And he was like, "Cool, that aligns
Mhm.
with me." And I told him I was like, "Hey, like I just to be upfront, I struggle with depression, I struggle with anxiety." Um and sometimes that can lead me to struggle with like self-care and with cleaning. So, I if that's a deal breaker for you, I understand, blah blah blah. And he was like, "No, I totally get it. I do too." And we had a really good conversation about that. And even like now I do still struggle with it sometimes. And he has always been like really supportive and really helpful. And like on the flip side, I've also been that way with him. Like when he's too tired to like take care of his hair or to brush his hair, I always like do that for him no matter how I feel. And I feel like, because he does the same for me, and I feel like stuff like that's really important in relationships. Uh,
Yeah. I
because
mean, this conversation is something a little bit different for us in our show, but being that we're
yeah,
about health and wellness,
yeah,
what we've learned is like season 3 coming up here.
yeah,
We're gonna be going to Japan, and Japan is one of the blue zones, and blue zones
mm,
being specifically Okinawa. And what they
mm,
found was that of the 5 pillars of longevity, because they have the highest concentration of centenarians, which is people who live past 100 on
yeah,
Okinawa. They found one of the most important factors to live a long life is the relationships you keep. That's what
yes,
they found, right? Because we are social creatures. Good, bad, and different. Obviously, you want good relationships, but they said the most meaningful relationships that these people had, friends, family, a loved one, whatever it may be, they found that it gave them a sense of purpose, gave them a sense of peace, reduced stress, which is contrary to what we see in marriage a lot of times. But
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. But I think this is an important conversation. Depending, no matter who you love, how you love them, what
mm,
gender you are, where you come from. I think that is important for people to understand that we're all the same in the sense that we're looking for connection. Now,
yes,
whatever shape or form that takes is personal preference, right?
hmm
So I think this is the reason why, granted, you and I, we got to meet at the convention, and I got to know you and some of the important work you're doing. So I'm a big fan of what you're doing as far as inclusivity and
yeah,
the community. And just sitting in your session, I saw so many people there. Like I mentioned earlier, they were crying. They felt seen, they felt heard, and you were just so open and honest with your experience. And I think that's what needs to happen a little bit more. So leading the charge, you know what? Whether or not you like that role, you've got that role now, by the way. So,
I
you
love
know.
that. I think I will absolutely like keep that close to my heart because I've always described myself as somebody who's very like easygoing and honest and open with people. And I tell people that if anyone is going to ask somebody like personal questions, like you're asking me right now, like about my journey being trans and all of that, I'm the best person to ask because I'm very open and honest with it. And as long as questions are coming from a I want to learn uh mindset, I will always answer any question. Like one of my friends recently actually told me that he really appreciated that he felt like he could ask me any question. He went on a date with a woman who had a transgender son, and he came
Yeah.
to me and asked, he was like, "Okay, so like this is the first time I've ever really like you're the only other person I know. Uh is there anything like I shouldn't do? Like, is there anything that I shouldn't say? Like, what kind of like inclusive language should I use?" And I very much told him I was like, "Hey, like just be yourself, be open, be accepting, and respect his pronouns and his preferred name. Well, his actual name. I hate saying preferred name because it's their name. Uh, but as long as you do that, you're perfect. Like,
Yeah.
there isn't really a set of rules, I don't think. I think some people, and I think it comes from a place of insecurity as well. Some people can be a little aggressive about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also try to be very like open and kind with those people as well because I know that they're aggressive about it because they've finally accepted this part of themselves that they've like pushed so far down, and their anger at both themselves and how society views them kind of comes forth when
Hmm.
there is a violation of that self.
Yeah.
And I feel like, well, actually, no, this isn't even an I feel thing. This is a true thing. Your anger protects you.
Oh yeah, it's a defense mechanism. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's an important emotion to feel.
Yeah.
So it's it makes me happy that I can be a person that people feel comfortable with talking about those topics. Um, And I've actually always struggled with like feeling anger is the thing because
Hmm.
like I've always like I used to like push it down a lot because I was like, oh, this is a bad thing to feel. Like I shouldn't feel angry.
Right.
But now that I'm allowing myself to feel that anger, uh, I've actually accepted even more of myself. Uh,
Yeah.
I think the biggest hurdle for me was feeling angry at how I was treated in relationships and by family members. And because like when you're treated that way like most of your life, and I'm not saying my mom treated me that way, it was other family members, just in case my mom's listening. It wasn't my mom. It was other family members. And constantly being treated like I'm less than, I'm othered.
Hmm.
You begin to expect that and you begin to think, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be treated. So
Right.
to process that anger and allow myself to feel anger about it was very hard. And I think there is something very brave about the people that are aggressive and angry about who they are as people.
Mm.
And I do think there is like a time and place for that anger, but I will never judge someone for expressing that anger.
Yeah. I mean, I think now more than ever, I think what's really important for everybody is to have a dialogue now more than ever.
Yes.
Just to
Yeah.
be able to have a conversation, a discourse, whatever it may be, to talk about these things without judgment and just
Mhm.
understanding perspective. So I think I just had this conversation with some friends, but I've gotten so much perspective from being an actor because we have to step in all these people's shoes and not judge them, but
Mhm.
empathize with them, what they're going through on
Yeah.
the journey, whether or not it's a serial killer or not. No, right?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to judge the journey, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Um,
that being said, you and I could talk about this subject for quite a long time. There's
yes.
so many layers to uncover. But this is the segment of the show where we give you the time to do your shameless plug. So, tell us about what you do, where where people can find you on the web, people can interact with you, your
Mhm.
services. But like I said, whether or not you want the responsibility, you've got it now, which is you're leading the charge here for inclusivity and getting the word out there. So where can people connect with you and how can we find you?
So, I am I am an aspiring actor.
Yes.
I really enjoy voice acting a lot. It's one
Oh,
of my
good.
favorite things to do. I've gotten the opportunity to do a few like free projects through Casting Call Club, but most of them I'm trying to like lean more towards like more like professional ones, which is really like the hurdle that I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
But you can find me on Instagram at Saul Caldwell VA, which is SOL Caldwell, which is like pretty, I feel like that's a pretty
Hmm.
common last name. And then VA,
Yeah.
like veteran almost.
Got it.
But not, it's voice actor, clarifying.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
And you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky. That's also my email at Gmail. If you want to email me, I guess, if anyone does that anymore.
Well, no, it's
uh,
funny. I just did another podcast and they gave out their phone number. So it's up to you. Whatever you want to put out there, we'll put it out there for
you gotta
you.
no, you gotta buy me a drink first if you're gonna get my number. No, I'm kidding. Um, I honestly, I'm also an artist. I do prints a lot. I've worked with a few voice actors and comic artists on prints and collabing with art, which has been such a fantastic um opportunity. I've loved doing that.
Yeah.
Uh my favorite is probably the comic artist, no offense. Because it's really fun to be able to collab with like other like artists.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, because I really only have Instagram, the email, and Blue Sky,
Okay.
um, which I need to post on my Instagram more.
Hey,
There's like
you're talking
nothing there.
to, listen, you're talking to somebody who hates social media, but I got to do it every
Yeah.
day now, so
Yeah, well, it's like a necessity
it
at this
is.
point.
It is. No, thank you for sharing your journey, sharing the ups and downs, highs and lows, the struggles, the victories, and congrats on your upcoming nuptials, which is great. That's fantastic
Yeah.
for you.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I'm so excited. We're gonna have like a Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings inspired wedding
Oh,
because we're
there you go.
nerds.
I've seen stuff like that on TikTok, so I'm like, that's a thing. Okay, I get
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so
it.
fun. If we could afford to go and get married in Middle Earth and New Zealand, we would, but that's like $1,000,000.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a bit. But keep getting yourself out there, keep giving the message out, helping others, because I know this will help some people who are trying to figure out and navigate their way through this journey. Um, so we thank you for that. But
Thank you.
for our audience, thank you for joining us for another episode of our podcast, Recipe for Wellness. We got a lot of big things coming up. We got the TV show season 2, which will air on PBS May through September of this year, about to come out. We're going to be on all the major streaming channels the next few months. So that's a big win for us. And podcasts, you can find us wherever you listen to all your major podcasts on our website, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you find your podcasts. But thank you to our guest Moon one more time. And we'll see you next week for another episode because we do this every week. All right. Thank you so much.